One cold, rainy night, William Blackwood, cold, powerful billionaire, unexpectedly saves a homeless girl from the hands of a bad guy. But when their eyes meet, his heart suddenly tightens. It's Emma Carter, his first love, who has disappeared without a trace. She no longer remembers him, no longer remembers the past, but the wounds on her body tell a horrifying truth. She went through hell. William vows to never let her fall into the darkness again. But as he gets closer to the truth, the ghosts of the past drag them into a dangerous spiral. Is love enough to heal the wounds, or is this just the beginning of an even more devastating storm? Under the heavy rain, William Blackwood tightened his grip on steering wheel, his eyes staring straight ahead. The rain tonight seemed colder than usual, carrying with it a familiar loneliness that he had tried to bury for so many years. Outside, the bustling New York was still bustling, but for William, it was all just a lifeless picture. He had everything in his hands: money, power, fame, but those things couldn't fill the void in his heart. He once loved someone, a girl with eyes as blue as the autumn sky. Emma Carter. But she was gone. No one knew where she went, not a trace, as if she had never existed. He searched for her, but all his efforts were in vain. William closed his eyes, forcing himself to push away the painful memories. The past is dead, he told himself. But just then, a sight on the side of the road made him suddenly break. In a dark alley by the roadside, a girl was pressed against the wall by two men. Under the dim light of the street lamp, William could see her struggling weakly, her thin hands trembling as she tried to push away the attackers. The pouring rain had soaked her hair, but despite her disheveled state, William could still see the fear and despair in her eyes. "Please, don't!" Her voice broke. The tall man sneered and squeezed her chin. "Behave, little girl. Do you think you can hide forever?" William didn't think another second. He opened the car door and rushed out, letting the rain hit him. "Let her go." His voice was so low and cold that the two men paused for a second. One of them narrowed his eyes, looked him up and down, then smirked. "Who are you? Go away before you get into trouble." William had no time to argue. In a flash, he rushed forward and threw a punch straight at the face of the man holding the girl. Pop! The man fell to the ground, blood oozing from his nose, groaning in pain. The other man quickly let go of the girl and glared at William. "Do you know who you just messed with?" William's eyes were cold. He took a step forward, his voice like a dagger. "Get out, now!" The murderous intent in his voice made the man freeze. He hesitated for a second, then turned and pulled his companions away. Then William turned to the girl. She collapsed to the ground, her body trembling. Her old torn dress was covered in dirty water. Her bare feet were covered in mud. She looked like a ghost in the middle of a rainy night. William bent down and gently held out his hand. "Are you okay?" The girl looked up, and at that moment, William felt like his whole world was falling apart. Emma. His heart skipped a beat. She was thinner, paler, her eyes no longer clear as before, full of panic and fear. But it was definitely Emma. William felt like someone had just squeezed his chest. Why was she here in this state? "Emma?" His voice was hoarse. The girl paused, but instead of emotion, her eyes were filled with confusion. Emma moved her lips, her voice as weak as a breath. "I don't know who you are." Lightning tore across the sky. William felt like he had been doused with cold water. "You don't remember me?" Emma shook her head. Her eyes were still filled with confusion, no trace of recognition. William felt his blood run cold. What the hell had happened to her? The rain was still pouring down, but now, in William's heart, an even more violent storm was brewing. William felt as if his whole world was collapsing before his eyes. The girl he once loved, the girl who had haunted him for so many years, was now standing before him in an unbelievably haggard state. But what shocked him the most was, she did not recognize him. William clenched his fists, trying to calm himself. Maybe she was in shock, or maybe she had experienced something so terrible that her memory was damaged. But the most important thing now was to get her out of this place. He took off his coat and gently put it on her. Emma, listen to me. You can't be here. She was startled and took a step back, her eyes filled with wariness. Who are you? What do you want from me? William's heart clenched. She really didn't miss him. I'm William, he said, his voice deeper. We used to know each other. Don't you remember? Emma frowned, as if searching for some memory of the name, but to no avail. She shook her head. I don't know you. Please don't touch me. The words cut into William's heart like a knife. Still, he couldn't leave her here. She had nowhere to go, no one to protect her. She was a vagrant, hunted by dangerous men, and he knew that if he turned away now, she might not survive the night. William took a deep breath, trying to control his emotions. Okay. It's okay if you don't miss me, but you can't stay here. Do you have somewhere to go? Emma bit her lip and looked down. That was the answer. William clenched his fists. Someone who was once as bright as her, a smart and ambitious girl, was now homeless and without anyone by her side. I can't let this go on. Get in the car. I'll take you somewhere safe. Emma shook her head, taking another step back. No, I can't. Emma, no! She cried suddenly, her voice breaking with despair. I don't know you! I can't go with a stranger! William gritted his teeth, trying to control his emotions. He knew she was scared. How long had she been living like this? How long had she been on her own, running away from something she couldn't say? I can't imagine. But he could not give up. William slowly raised his hands, signaling that he had no intention of forcing you. I don't want to scare you, but if you stay here, those guys will come back. And next time, there might not be anyone here to help you. Emma clenched her hands, her small body still shaking from the cold. She knew he was right. Finally, after a moment of silence, she nodded slightly. William breathed a sigh of relief. He took a step forward and gently helped her up. She didn't resist, but her body was extremely weak, to the point that even a strong gust of wind could make her fall. He helped her into the car, opened the passenger door, and sat her down. Emma shrank back, trying not to touch him, her eyes still wary. William said nothing more. He knew she needed time right now. He walked around to the other side, got in the car, and started the engine. The Rolls-Royce rolled out of the dark alley, leaving behind the cold night and the mysteries that William knew he would have to find out. Whatever happened to her, whoever did this to her, he won't lose her again. The Rolls-Royce glided through the night, the lights of New York City reflecting off the windshield. William glanced at Emma, who was huddled in the corner of the seat, her hands clutching the coat he had just draped over her. Her eyes were still bewildered and wary. William wanted to say something, but he knew now was not the right time. She was scared, and he didn't want to force her. 15 minutes later, the car stopped in front of New York's most luxurious skyscraper. Emma's eyes widened as she saw the luxurious penthouse in front of her, with its soaring ceilings, glass walls reflecting the city lights, and exquisite interiors that looked like they belonged in an architectural magazine. Go ahead, William said, his voice softer than usual. You can rest here. No one will hurt you. But Emma didn't move. She stood still near the door, her eyes searching his as if she were trapped in a nightmare. She was used to life on the streets, to betrayal, to false promises. Why would a rich man like William Blackwood help her? Men never help anyone without a reason. Emma learned that the hard way. She flinched as William moved closer. He noticed her reaction and stopped. Emma, I didn't do anything to you. I just wanted to help you. She stared into his eyes, searching for sincerity in them. Finally, she nodded slightly, but kept her distance. William breathed a sigh of relief. I'll have someone bring you clean clothes. Emma didn't answer. She just stood there, like a wounded little animal, ready to run away at any moment. Moments later, Emma stood in the bathroom, staring at her reflection in the mirror. She looked miserable, thin and pale, her hair matted from the rain, her clothes torn, and her eyes filled with fear. She took off her old torn shirt, and the scars were clearly visible on her skin. Bruises that have not yet faded, faint cuts, traces that time cannot erase. Her hands trembled as she touched them. There were things she couldn't remember clearly, but her body didn't forget. She clenched her fists. What had she been through? Who had done this to her? Before Emma could think any further, William's voice rang out from the door. "Emma, I left some clothes for you on the outside chair." She was startled and quickly put on the loose shirt he left behind. As she stepped outside, she caught William's eye, and he saw the scars. William's body stiffened, his heart was on fire. Those scars couldn't be random. Someone had hurt her. William clenched his fists, his nails digging into his flesh. His heart was filled with a chilling anger, but he couldn't lose control now. He didn't want to scare her. Emma noticed his gaze and quickly pulled her shirt up to cover herself. Where will I sleep?" William took a deep breath, trying to control his emotions. "You can sleep in my room. I will sleep in the living room." Emma was stunned. She didn't think a man like him would agree to sleep on the couch to give her room. She nodded silently. As soon as Emma went to sleep, William took out his phone and called his closest assistant. "Mike, I need you to investigate someone." His voice was cold. "Send me all the information on Emma Carter. She went missing, and I want to know why." 3 hours later, a document was sent to William's computer. He opened it, and a horrifying truth greeted his eyes. Emma Carter, missing 5 years ago. Her family claimed she died in a car accident, but no body was ever found. Die? William frowned. If Emma really is dead, then where has she been all these years? Who took her? Who made her live like a homeless person on the streets? William clenched his fists. He knew there might be a terrible secret behind this. In the bedroom, Emma curled up on the bed, cold sweat pouring down her face. Vague images flashed through her mind. She found herself running, her bare feet hitting the cold ground. Behind her, a man was chasing her. She heard screams, horns, the clang of metal. Then, darkness. Emma woke up, gasping for breath. Her heart was pounding in her chest. What happened to me? She put her hands on her head. Every time she tried to remember, a sharp pain came over her. It was as if someone had erased her memory. She raised her head and looked out the window. The rain had stopped, but in her heart, another storm had just begun. She must remember. But she was afraid that the truth would be even more terrifying than she had imagined. Night fell over New York, the city lights shining brightly on the deserted streets. In the luxurious penthouse, Emma was falling into an uneasy sleep. Ever since William brought her here, she had not been able to completely relax. There was an invisible fear that always surrounded her, as if someone was watching her. The wind whistled through the window. Already a soft sound came from outside the door. Emma opened her eyes. She sensed a presence, a clicking sound, like someone was picking a lock. She clutched the blanket tightly, her breathing coming in short gasps. There was no mistaking it. Someone is breaking in. The bedroom door suddenly opened. A dark shadow rushed in, quick as lightning. Emma screamed. Absolute terror welled up in her chest, as if she had experienced this before. The stranger's cold hands grabbed her. Emma struggled wildly, memories flooding back like a nightmare. I'd been captured. I'd been locked up. But just then a gunshot rang out. The intruder was startled and let her go immediately. William stood at the door, the gun in his hand still smoking. He shot the attacker in the shoulder. The man screeched and staggered back. But before William could restrain him, he jumped out the window, disappearing into the night like a ghost. The penthouse was filled with tension. Emma sat curled up in her chair, her body still shaking. William sat across from her, his eyes cold, his hand still clutching the gun. "Do you know him?" he asked, his voice low but dangerous. Emma shook her head, but there was something vague in her eyes. William stared at her. "Are you sure?" She bit her lip. A faint memory flashed, a dark room. Rough hands grabbed her, creepy laughter. "She's worth a fortune. Fair-skinned, young. I bet the old man will like her." Her heart clenched. She didn't want to remember. Emma sat up, clutching her head. "I don't know. I don't remember. Don't make me remember." William looked at her, his eyes darkening. Something very bad happened to her. He got out of his chair, grabbed his phone, and called Mike, his assistant. "I want to know everything about Emma's disappearance. Investigate any human trafficking in the area at the time." Mike was silent for a few seconds, then asked a question that shocked William. "Do you think she was sold into human trafficking?" William clenched his phone, his eyes darkening. "Possibly." His heart pounded as he said it. If that was true, then Emma had endured things he dared not imagine. That night, Emma could not sleep. She sat in the dark, her mind spinning. Vague fragments of memory kept coming back. Darkness, evil laughter, the sharp pain of someone grabbing me. She was kidnapped. But why? And how did she escape? She can't remember. Emma jumped up, breathing heavily. She walked to the window, looking down at New York City below. But when she closed her eyes, all she saw was overwhelming fear. William stood on the balcony, a cigarette in his hand burning. He read the entire file on Emma's disappearance, and what he found outraged him. 5 years ago, Emma Carter was declared dead after a car accident. But no body was found. That doesn't make sense. A person can't just disappear without a trace like that. He felt there was something darker behind this story. And as he investigates further, he finds a series of strange disappearances around that exact time. Young girls disappear without a trace. Some of them were found years later, sold into international human trafficking organizations. William's hand clenched, the cigarette in his hand crushed. If Emma were one of them, if someone sold her, I will not forgive. He turned, his eyes darkening as he saw Emma huddled in a chair. She had suffered enough. He not only wanted to help her regain her memories, he wanted revenge. Next day, William drove slowly on the deserted road, the yellow streetlights reflecting on the windshield. Beside him, Emma was silent, her eyes looking out the window, as if trying to find something familiar in the darkness. "Why did you bring me here?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. William glanced at her, his hand tightening on hers. "Mausoleum." "Because I believe this place can help you remember." The car stopped in front of a small house in the suburbs. The brick walls were old, and the window frames were covered with dust. Emma got out of the car, her heart pounding strangely. She didn't know why, but a familiar feeling came over her, as if she had stood in this place before, had belonged there. She touched the wooden door. A faint image appeared in her mind. Her laughter echoed under the starry sky. A strong arm hugged her from behind. "William." She turned and looked at him. "I used to live here?" William nodded. "This is my home, where we used to be together." Emma blinked, but her memories were still hazy like fog. She wanted to remember, but there was an invisible wall blocking her way. "Don't push yourself," William said softly, placing his hand on her shoulder. "The memory will come back when you're ready." Emma bowed her head. But what if she was never ready? They left the house and got in the car to return to the city. It was late at night, the street was deserted. Only the steady sound of the engine tore through the silence. William drove at a moderate speed, his mind still thinking about Emma. She was so close to remembering, but there was still one last piece missing. Suddenly, a truck rushed out of a dark alley. "Damn it!" William hissed, turning around. Mausoleum. His car spun on the road, the wheels rubbing against the road surface, creating a deafening screeching sound. As soon as the car stopped, a group of masked men rushed forward. "They have guns." "Emma, stay in the car!" William yelled, pulling a gun from the glove compartment. But it was too late. One of the men opened the car door and grabbed Emma. She screamed and struggled, but he was too strong. "Don't touch me!" William did not think he shot straight at that guy. He staggered, roaring in pain, letting go of Emma. But another one lunged at William. Boom! Gunshots rang out in the night. William took a step back, a streak of blood spreading across his shoulder. Emma was terrified. William still tried to fight, despite being wounded. He used his gun to hit one of the men in the head, killing him instantly. The last one saw that the situation was not good, so he shouted, "Withdrew!" They ran away, leaving a car with burned wheels behind. Emma rushed to William, her hands shaking. "You're hurt. We have to go to the hospital." But William took her hand. "I'm fine. More importantly, do you remember anything?" Emma opened her mouth to say no, but when she saw the blood on his shirt, a memory suddenly flashed. She found herself standing in the middle of a raging storm. The rain poured down, the wind howled, and thunder boomed across the sky. She was being chased by someone. Emma gasped. The image gradually becomes clearer. Emma's tears fell. She finally remembered. Emma sat on the king-sized bed in William's penthouse, her hands clutching the covers. Her eyes were filled with pain, but this time it was no longer vague. She remembered everything. "I know who did it to me." Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes were determined. William sat down beside her, his hand taking hers. "Who is it?" Emma looked up, her eyes flashing with indignation. "My uncle, Mark Calloway." William stared at her, eyes narrowed. Emma took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. "After my mother died, he took control of all the family assets. But he was addicted to gambling. He owed a huge amount of money." She clenched her hands into fists. "I was just a stupid 18-year-old girl, not suspecting anything about him. Until one night, he took me in his car, saying he wanted to take me away for a while." She remembered Mark's cold eyes, his sinister smile as he drove down a deserted road. "He sold me." William spoke, his voice cold as ice. Emma nodded, her voice choked. "He sold me to a gang of traffickers. They locked me in a dark room with other girls in there, and I heard them crying." William's hand clenched so tightly that his knuckles turned white. "I escaped," Emma continued, "but when I ran out into the street I was hit by a car." She smiled bitterly. "Maybe I should have died then." "Don't say that," William interrupted, his voice cold but angry. He stood up, his eyes calculating. "Is he still alive?" Emma looked at him. "Yes?" William nodded slightly. "Then he won't live much longer." William is not a benevolent man. When you want something, you get it. And now, what he wants is revenge. Within 24 hours, Mark Calloway was brought to light. William's assistant collected all the documents on him: gambling debts, money laundering, links to criminal organizations. William has no need of the law. He wanted to destroy him himself. He arranged a meeting. Mark thought he went to see an investor who could help him get out of debt. But when entering the luxury hotel room, he saw William Blackwood sitting there with a deadly smile. "Do you know who I am?" William asked, his voice light. Mark swallowed. I think we could do business together." William laughed. "Business?" He stood up and slowly walked towards Mark, his eyes flashing dangerously. "I don't do business. I do revenge." In just 1 week, Mark's criminal empire collapsed. He was arrested by the FBI and faces dozens of charges. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. William made sure he would never see the light of day again. After all, Emma is still alive. And now, she won't let the past control her anymore. With William's help, she gradually recovered both physically and mentally. She is no longer the pitiful homeless girl, no longer a victim. She decided to stand up. Emma re-enrolls in college, pursuing the dream she lost years ago. And for the first time in years, she felt like she actually had a future. William remained by her side, protecting her in a way that only he could. But he no longer treated her as someone who needed saving. He saw her as a strong woman he loved. One evening, when the whole city was lit up, they stood on the balcony of the penthouse. The rain was falling lightly, and the wind was blowing gently. William wrapped his arms around her waist, pulling her close to him. "The first time we met again was also a rainy night," he whispered. Emma smiled. "You saved me that time." William shook his head. "No, you're the one who saved me." Emma looked up at him. "Save you?" William gently touched her cheek, his eyes softer than ever. "Before I met you, I lived without really living. I had everything, but I had nothing." He leaned down and placed a kiss on her forehead. "But this time, I will never let you leave me again." Emma smiled, tears falling silently. She leaned against his chest, letting the rain wash over them. Final. After all, they found each other again. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this story. If you like this story, don't forget to like, to support the channel, and subscribe so you don't miss any stories.